XR5, ST225, same deal for an RS Mark II. Guys come in, it's got a battery light on. It's probably going to be an alternator. I'll just run you through how to check for the alternator and basically run you through how to change it. Tools used were 19mm impact socket with an impact gun, torque wrench, T50 torque spit, 3/8 ratchet, flat blade screwdriver, pair of long nose pliers, 13mm socket quarter drive, 10mm socket quarter drive, 8mm socket deep quarter drive, 8mm socket shallow quarter drive ratchet, 10mm socket deep 3/8, 8mm flex head ratchet spanner, a small pick, a small hammer, and you will also need, for the inlet manifold, if you don't have an aftermarket one, a small hose clamp. And for testing, a multimeter. So you want to grab yourself a multimeter, stick it to volts, earth, positive. Stick it on your earth terminal over here, stick your other one on your positive terminal. See what the voltage is. So it should be 13.5. That's 11.47. So, alright, the alternator is not charging the battery. But before you run and go and change the alternator, we're checking this at the battery, we want to check it at the alternator, because if there's high resistance in the wiring from the alternator to the battery, that will actually cause the problem. So don't just chuck an alternator on it straight away, you want to test it at the alternator too. Okay, so alternator's down here, we've got our main power lead, and there's a little rubber insulating cap. Just want to tease that off. And that gives us access to the 13mm nut. We've still got our negative probe from the multimeter plugged into the battery on the negative side. Take your positive probe, stick it on top of the nut. Now voltage is still the same, it's 11.47, so that confirms for us the issue is not the wiring from the alternator to the battery, the alternator itself is not charging fully. So we can now go ahead and replace the alternator. First thing we're going to do, make sure everything's all safe, we're going to disconnect the battery. Normally you would take the earth lead off, but because of the way the battery setup is on these vehicles, it is far easier just to take the positive lead off. So just a 10mm. Pop the cable out from here, pop the cable out from there, pull it off. Now just in case that was to flop back in, I like to just shove a rag underneath there. But you don't have to, as long as this has no chance of hitting that, you're sweet. Driver's side wheel off. Take the inner arch liner out. You'll have a T30 torque screw under here on the side skirt end cap. One there, one there, one there, one here, one up here. If you've got the front bumper under tray, you'll have two there. And if you've got the main under tray on, you'll also have one at the front there. Now you're going to take both your auxiliary drive belts off. I won't talk about how to do that, that's in a separate video, so if you need assistance with that, just watch that video. Okay, if you have the factory airbox, just watch the removal video for that. If you need assistance, we've got to take the upper manifold or plenum off, so again, you can watch the other video for that. Once you got that plenum off, take a rag, shove it in there so you can't drop anything in there. You can either put rags in here. I like to just give it a wipe down and then put some masking tape over it. We've got our main positive lead. It's clipped to the dipstick here and here. Just pop the thing up. Just give it a yank. We've got a 13mm nut and then we've got a multi-plug. Now you can lift your power wire off and just tuck it out the way. Now we've got to take the dipstick tube and out. So take the dipstick out. Dipstick tube is held to the oil filter housing with an 8mm bolt. Pull your dipstick tube out. Making sure, let's see, this is covered in crap, that you've got the green O-ring. Now, you want to look down, find your hole in the sump for your dipstick tube. You want to eyeball it, check that there's no dirt about to fall in, and just take a very small bit of rag, twist it up and bang it in the hole so no dirt can fall in. Now we've got a multi-plug on the alternator here. You push it in, so you push in and then it just slides off. Tuck this wiring out the way. Now this bit's real difficult for me to show you, so I'm going to show you this on an engine that's not in a car. But you've got a 10mm bolt down here, you've got one pretty much in line with it here, and then you've got another 10mm bolt here, so you're going to take all three of those out. Right, now the alternator is on the trusty demo engine, so you can see it easier. 10mm here, 10mm here, 10mm here. 10mm at the top is the hardest one to get to, so I always do that one first, because if you do it last, the weight of the alternator is going to be on it, so you're then struggling with space and you're trying to support the weight of the alternator. So when you wind it out, there's a little tang here when you've got the plastic cover for the timing belt, so you can struggle to get it all the way out. As long as you get it so that it's no longer threaded in to bracket, then it's fine, you can leave it in. So do this one first. So if that timing cover was there, it can just get stuck on the head. So you can just let it hang there if you want. I can pull it all the way out because there's no cover. Then I like to do this one because you can't see it when it's in the car. Now all the weight of the alternator is now on this one. So as you crack it off, the alternator tries to move. So make your life easier, just support its weight while you take the bolt out. There you go. Now we've got our 3 bolts out, literally pull the alternator out. So this has got aftermarket big bore boost pipes. You just kind of move it out of the way. Basically you're just going to tease it up and pull it out. Right, so this is the alternator that we just took off. It's clearly an aftermarket one. We only supply genuine Ford ones. Genuine Ford ones are made by Denso. This thing will last about 10 years. The aftermarket ones, they last 12 months, 18 months if you're lucky, but literally once it's out of warranty, it'll just die on you. People seem to buy these because they assume that they will be cheaper than a genuine Ford one. Here in Australia, one of these from Repco or Bursons, or probably even super cheap, this will actually cost you more than the genuine Ford one from us. So don't waste your time with them. So we're going to sneak the new alternator in, same way it came out. Now remember that top bolt can get stuck, so you want to kind of move it a little bit of the way in. Now you only want to do that finger tight because the bottom bolts are slotted, the holes, so you don't want to get it fully tight, you want to start the other 2 first. Once you've got everything finger tight, fully tighten the top bolt first, because that'll make sure that the alternator is lined up correctly. You want it to be nice and firm. You could torque it, a bit difficult to get a torque wrench in, but remember it's a steel bolt, alley bracket, so don't hoof on it, or you'll strip the threads. Next, we're going to refit our dipstick tube. But remember, there was all that crud, so if you take a pick and very carefully get it underneath that O-ring, just pull that O-ring off, give us a good wipe, clean it, give that O-ring a good clean. Pop it back over the end. So it sits there. Now we're going to push it back in the hole, but just to help it slide in, put a bit of lube on it, just some spit. We'll just help it slide back in. Remember to take your rag out we put in before. Look for your hole. Just give it a twist as you push it in. And then we'll just put our 8mm bolt back in there. We'll plug our electrics back in. Tuck this out way up here, because that's for our throttle body. We'll take our power lead again, pop it on, remembering to clip to the dipstick and the bit to the top of the dipstick. Don't go nuts tightening this up, you just need to nip it so it's firm. Don't forget, put your rubber insulator cap on the top. Now we can put our inlet manifold back on. Now when putting the inlet manifold back down, remember you want to feel and check none of your O-rings have got squished. Put your old spokes back on, remembering that your longer one is for the alternator, so your 890. And now just chuck your wheel arch liner back in. And now we can reconnect our battery. Remember to reset your one-touch windows so your global closing. That's covered in another video. Do your radio, time, date. Chuck your wheel back on, torque that all up.